This just seems arbitrary to me. For the PvP, yeah, sure, keep it server to server, but what does friends being on different servers matter, especially friendless? I think bare minimum they need to change it so that as long as you're in the same continent, so North America, for example, Europe, Asia, doesn't matter which number server on, you can add each other as friends in camps, but really you should be able to add friends across all servers. The World Tour of Digimon Adventure 02 was nothing apparently for this game. International Digidestined Assemble. This again is where the live service factor comes in and hopefully they can listen to the fans. Like I say, they're almost certainly going to add Digimon from Frontier, Data Squad, Cross Wars, and Adventure 2020 because we already have those Digivices in the game. They could also maybe add a story mode. The game starts with something that feels very Digimon World-esque, with Digimon introducing itself, talking about this like calamity in the digital world, but then nothing really comes of that calamity. We just idle battle Digimon on the home screen. It would be cool if there was actually a story added to this game. It doesn't have to be particularly complex, but it would be nice. Little cutscenes to watch of our sprites and characters interacting to make our bond with our Digimon feel better. I also think given that they have made these support to Digimon, it would be kind of a freebie to turn support to Digimon into raising Digimon. Market stall, and also a collab celebration event, which has Gabumon and Agumon in these Time Stranger boxes in Central Town. I hope again this is some kind of mini game. I think that's how they can maybe bring the game back from the accusations of not having any gameplay. If there are lots of mini games, I think it will have more for people to enjoy. It is a deeply flawed mobile game, but as I discussed online, I want to discuss here, it was way less of a shock for me because I was following the marketing. I was making videos on the marketing. It became very clear to me what it was. I am disappointed by the monetization specifically. It seemed like the game was never not kind of a gacha. I just wish it would be more toned down, and again, like this would stay. That's great. I find it kind of too, but I think
There's so many Sonic characters who've only made one appearance. Despite the occasional pop-up in a comic book or a mobile game, so many characters have been left for dead in the original game that they came from, such as a character that almost never saw the light of day, anything. In 1896, the Sonic the Fighters arcade machine would be released across the world. It is undoubtedly the most iconic Sonic arcade game ever released. I remember even playing it at Chuck E. Cheese when I was a kid. But for around 9 years, the game would only be playable in arcades, until the Sonic Gems collection released in 2008. Once Sonic fans were able to get their hands on the game and hack it, they found a new character that was never seen before, and in the original files from the 1996 release. That first was Honey, and Mary plays the character, which was the world of religions. So even at the day, fans were still planning this is her. So when the game was eventually ported to modern-day consoles in 2012, Honey the Cat was there, fully playable. Sonic the Fighters was made by the same developers as Fighting Vipers, so Honey was originally based off of a character from that game named Honey. During that same year, she would make her comic debut as a brief cameo in Sonic the Fighters 240, making her mainline comic debut in Archie's Sonic Adventure 268. Years later, she would appear in the next line of comics from IDW in Amy's 30th anniversary special. Unfortunately for Honey, however, Sonic the Fighters is still her only video game appearance, not even getting a slot in Sonic Forces Mobile, which is starting to seem like any character can appear no matter how obscure. Will we ever see Honey again in a video game? I'm not entirely sure. Sega still has a lot of work to do with other characters like Silver, who fans have been clamoring for a lot more of lately, and also Sega has been stepping away from doing classic content, focusing a lot more on the main modern series, and unfortunately for Honey, she kind of falls in that classic crowd. But Honey should have hope, because this next character proves that you can be a one-time character, but still not be entirely forgotten. That's none other than Maureen Raccoon. She would make her first appearance in Sonic, the game from 2007, as well as in How There's a Story. There's a lot more we know about Maureen. She was born on Southern Island in the Soul Dimension. Growing up, she always dreamt of going out and being a captain, and one of the dream goals to the kingdom. By the age of 7, which Maureen is in the game, she already decided to set out and take up sailing trip. Eventually find Sonic and Tails when they wash up in Sonic. That they stay with her until they find her home, and Tails built the big cyclone, so they used to explore the islands, and then eventually run to the mountain of Whisper, which still in several ways. Sonic, Tails, Blaze, and Maureen then set off on their adventure, while setting off on a mission for herself. Maureen gets attacked by Whisper and decides to report her to the They eventually something not good, stolen them by Dr. Eggman and Eggman Mega, whose goal is to use the Scepter's power to eventually build Eggman Land. And after following two villains, we get Sonic and Blaze teaming up to destroy the Egg Wizard, retrieving the Scepter and saving the day. With the jeweled Scepter now secured, Maureen went off to see Sonic and Tails in her SS Supermobile, as the duo was leaving the Soul Dimension, and although she was sad to see them go, Maureen took solace in their promise that they would meet again, and vowed that she would have thrown much more up to the next time that they meet, before eventually returning home to Blaze. Unfortunately for Maureen, however, this would typically be the last time we ever saw her in any Sonic game. She would make great cameos, such as being mentioned in the DS version of Sonic Colors, and on this challenge space to billboard in Sonic Generations. She would also receive theme costumes in the Mario and Sonic Olympic Games. People were and still are dying to see more of Maureen, which was in 2014 when this Sonic poster leaked showing an unknown character at the time, and speculated that it was going to be the Sonic Boomer edition of Maureen, to be the totally new character still out there. She has popped up in mobile and PC games like Sonic Speed Simulator, Sonic Dash, Sonic Ultra Speed Battle, as well as the upcoming Sonic Blitz. Maureen would also appear in the RG comic adaptation of Sonic Rush Adventure, as well as become a recurring character in Sonic Universe, which is where this iconic image stems from. And like Honey, she would appear in the IDW comics in Sonic Annual 2022. Maureen has received more love in external media than Honey the Cat, for instance, but still has yet to make another game appearance outside of Sonic Rush Adventure, although they're popping up in a lot of more recent films. I wouldn't be surprised if Maureen maybe pops up in some kind of spin-off title that cannot be said for this next character, who I don't think we're ever going to see again. And that's because Sega was stupid for using them. Shady Pickle, the first and only appearance in Sonic Chronicles The Dark Brotherhood, a game that has been deemed non-canon. Technically maybe saying non-canon, but we'll get to that in a bit. 4,000 years before the event of the game, there's two Akinnic lands, Knuckles Planet and Knockford Land. That was the Knuckles who had to go to war with the Knuckles tribe, the Argus event, they were eventually sucked into a giant worm, being trapped in the Twilight Kingdom for around 4,000 years. But then to modern day, Knuckles has been kidnapped by Shade and Arms. They eventually reveal themselves to Sonic, but are eventually defeated in combat, before causing an avalanche of red light into the metropolis, after she believes that she stops the chase of the Angel Islands we don't know. And this video she discovers Pixel's land. enter Ken Penders. If you are not aware of who Ken Penders is an entire rabbit hole that we definitely do not have the time to go over in today's video. But I'll give you the cliff notes as it relates to Shade. Ken Penders was the main writer for the Sonic the Hedgehog Archie comics from 1993 until 2006, but abruptly left in 2006 over creative differences and a desire for more control over his quote-unquote original characters. Hold on. It makes sense. He's writing Sonic Adventure and essentially a TV show of characters that the Sega also split Adventures then. That was a tie-in essentially to a TV show of characters that Sega also owns. Well, in Ken Penders' head, a lot of those original Archie characters that only popped up in the comics, specifically the echidnas, he grew a close fondness for and deemed his own. So fast forward 2 years when this game releases on the Nintendo DS, featuring a slew of new echidna characters and a story based around the Echidna clan. This would ignite a series of lawsuits that would go on for numerous years. The first happening on January 1st of 2009 against Sega of America and Archie Comics, claiming that he owned various stories, characters, and artworks featured in the Sonic comics. More specifically, the Echidna characters he created, with the US Copyright Office then beginning to certify his copyright claims in the following year of 2010. This wasn't enough though for Penders, as he then went on to sue Sega of America and EA in 2011. He would sue for copyright infringement, claiming that Sonic Chronicles the Dark Brotherhood, which featured characters like Sage and the Nocturnus clan, were far too similar to his Dark Legion Echidna characters. These got for numerous years, which companies, but it eventually ended in a stalemate when it was dismissed for a second time, and upheld in court on October 11th of 2013. Although Penders did attempt to address the case with Archie Comics alongside the current ongoing case, Penders was forced to temporarily limit his legal actions due to the statute of limitations. He will be unable to file again unless these characters and concepts from Sonic Chronicles the Dark Brotherhood are used in the future. This would also cause Sonic Chronicles to be deemed non-canon. Sega quite literally, for legal reasons, can never touch Sonic Chronicles the Dark Brotherhood again. Which by proxy means that they can never use the character that they created, being sure a likely legal battle their way that they probably just don't want to deal with, and I don't think anyone should blame them for that. But just 2 months after this game's release, another one-time Sonic down in history. That is none other than Chip from Sonic Unleashed. Chip might look like a cute little guy, but there's much more going on beneath the surface. The main conflict in Sonic Unleashed is between Light and Dark Gaia, two constants that exist within the Earth of Sonic's world. In the Sonic universe, every few millions of years, Dark Gaia fully matures, as Light Gaia weakens. This allows Dark Gaia to fully destroy the Earth, allowing it to reset. Sometimes Dark Gaia wins, and sometimes Light Gaia is able to postpone it. But in Sonic Unleashed, that is not the case. The Earth has been torn apart, and Light Gaia is in its weakest state, and that comes in the form of Chip. The second civilization that roamed this Earth, the Gaians, lived in a state of fear after a bout between Light and Dark around the world, and once a Chaos Emerald was placed in each Gaia temple, they were all activated to create the Gaia Colossus, which can force Dark Gaia back into his slumber. He also likes ice cream a lot. Chip, as we'll refer to him, is one of the most interesting characters in Sonic history. On the surface, when you look and hear his voice for the first time, he has the potential to be a really irritating character alongside Sonic for the entire game. But as a surprise, he's a very endearing, lovable little guy, who has much more going on beneath the surface than I think anybody was expecting. He's a genuine friend. He has a good soul. He's ultra powerful when he gets the chance, and his relationship with Sonic and Sonic Unleashed is amazing. Truly, one of the best dynamics between characters in any Sonic game ever. He even sacrifices himself for his homie, throwing Sonic back to the surface of the Earth, where he telepathically tells Sonic that he'll always be with him, inside the Earth that he treads. Sonic then puts on the necklace that Chip wore, as a bracelet of a token of remembrance for him. What an awesome, weird-looking dude. Of course, I've never misguided vision of the media. This Chip does pop up in the Mario and Sonic Olympic game in 2016. So it's a
When we first meet up, when she summons in our favorite blue hedgehog and put an end to the evil Razor Jin's plan for ultimate power of the storybook with the release of Sonic and the Sacred Ring back in 2007. Unfortunately though for Sonic, he's quickly cursed by a Razor Jin who played time bomb on his chest, with the only way out being an exchange of all 7 of the world rings, setting him on a quest for another set of 7 colorful, super-powered objects capable of tearing a world apart. Throughout the game, though, we get to see Shara figuratively and quite literally bond with Sonic through the magic of her rings, culminating in the ultimate sacrifice. As when the two encounter a Razor Jin, Shara remembers her parents' past love life with the evil genie, thus handing over the 7 world rings before quickly sacrificing her life to Sonic. And with Shara laying dead in Sonic's hands, things quickly fall into chaos, with Razor Jin fully losing himself to the World Ring's uncontrollable power of emotion. Thankfully though, Sonic manages to channel his emotions into Shara's